Hello students, welcome to class 7 social science class, class 7 social science, and today we will be discussing about human environment as I have written it here, this is your chapter 11, class 7 social science, chapter 11, and the topic will be human environment, Now before we proceed into that, I want you to be sure about what do you mean by human environment? What do we mean by human environment? Because this is a new chapter for you, so I'm sure some of you may not be aware of it also, So first, let's discuss about what is human environment, Now, in today's world, in today's developing world, if you look around, you will find that there are so many things. There are so many things which human beings have made, in order to make their life comfortable. Like for example, we have a house to live in, isn't it? All of us, we have a house to live in. Then regarding all those gadgets in our houses, it can be your TVs, your fridge, or even to do with your cooking stove, gas stove and so on. So all those are there. Then apart from those gadgets at your houses, again we have the means of communication, that is telephone, internet and so on. Then plus we also have to go to school, you travel by road, right? So the road that have been built, in order for our conveniences, or the hospitals. So all these together, man have made it, in order to make their life comfortable. So all those things are called as human environment, or to make it simpler, to make it easier for you. Now, when we talk about human environment means all those facilities, all those facilities that man had created in order to make their life comfortable. So that is called as human environment, So in this chapter, we are going to discuss about all those things that made or that comprises the human environment, Now first, let's go through this human settlement, Now when we talk about human settlement means we are talking about those places that we live in, Those are called settlement. Now, if you look at the early stages, during the ancient period, during the early period, you all know how the early man lives, right? The early men, they live in the caves, isn't it? They don't have a house, or their house were to do with caves. Then regarding their clothes, they used to wear clothes made of leaves, or even to do with the skins of animals and so on. So that is how they started it, Now later on, they decided to settle down permanently somewhere. And after settling down, again they start with their agriculture in order to feed themselves. So when we talk about settlement, settlement means the places where human beings settle, or where they live. So that is called as human settlement or settlement, Now basing on this, so the people, they decided to settle down somewhere permanently. Now after settling down there, community, the word community again came into being. Now community means a group of people, a group of people living together because they have a common background, so to say. So that is called as a community, And so this is how slowly the settlement turns into community turns again into the other two types of settlement, which is called as temporary settlement and permanent settlement, The two types of settlement are permanent settlement and temporary settlement. Now first, let's go through this temporary settlement, Now when we say temporary means it's just for a short period of time, It is not for in the long run, it's just for a short period of time. So when we talk about temporary settlement, in your textbook, they have given some examples, right? So if you look at the examples, you will find that temporary settlements are those places where people have settled down, maybe in the forest, or in the desert, or it can even to do with to do with this, we call it as the refugee camps, okay. Now all these are called temporary settlement. Temporary because they are not going to be there, okay. The people, they are not going to live there their whole life. After a short period of time, they are going to move into another place. So that is called as temporary, okay, where human beings are settling down just for a short period of time. So coming to permanent, okay. Permanent means where human beings have settled down there and they have been living there for a very long time. It can even be to do for a lifetime also. As long as they live, they are going to live there. So those places are called as permanent settlement, okay. So the two types of human settlement are permanent and temporary. So I hope you are clear with that now. Now coming to this permanent settlement, okay. Now this permanent settlement, again we have two types, okay, two types of settlement in the permanent, and that is one we call it as rural settlement and the second one we call it as urban settlement, okay. So the two different types of permanent settlement are rural settlement and urban settlement. Now when we talk about rural settlement means we are talking about the villagers, okay, the villages. Now the point is, how can we differentiate between rural and urban? Now how they have distinguished it or how they have differentiated it is based on population, okay, the number of people living there, okay, then the different kind of facilities that you find there. So all these together, they have divided it into rural and urban. So rural settlement means we are talking about the villages, okay. Then urban means we are talking about the towns and cities, because in the towns and cities, population is also more, right? Then we get all sorts of facilities, everything is there. We are self-sufficient, so to say, those who are living in the towns and cities. So this is how the permanent settlement is again divided into two, that is rural, which means the villages, and urban, which means the towns and cities. So this is to do with the settlement, okay. Now coming to the next point, we have these man-made disasters, okay. Man-made disasters. Man-made disasters means we are talking about those disasters, or it can even to do with the crisis, okay, the difficulties, okay. So those difficulties or crises or disasters that we human beings faced because of human beings' negligence, okay, because of human beings' negligence. So those are called as man-made disaster. Now man-made, we have man-made disaster and natural disaster is also there, okay. Natural disaster means we are talking about those disasters that occurs because of nature. And example will be those the earthquake, okay, or cyclone, or even to do with tsunami. So those are called natural disaster because it happens because of nature, okay. Whereas man-made disaster means those disasters that occurs because of man's negligence, that is human beings' negligence, okay. And examples can be these vehicles accidents, okay. It can be to do with that, accidents of vehicles or fire incidents, okay, or pollution, or even to do with wars. So those are called as man-made disaster. So two types of disaster are there: natural disaster, which are occurred or which are caused by nature itself, then man-made disaster, which are caused by man, that is because of the negligence of human being, okay. So those are again the two types of disaster. Now when we talk about disaster, in your textbook they have given some do's and don't, okay. That means some which you are supposed to do when you are faced with disasters, okay. Don't means which you are not supposed to do during a disaster occurring, okay. So in the do's, those things which you are supposed to remember, okay, during those kind of disaster, that is man-made disaster. In your textbook it's written, the first one is you are supposed to contact emergency numbers, okay, that is telephone. You are supposed to contact the emergency telephone, okay. Then the next one is you are supposed to help the injured. Those who have been injured, you are supposed to help out, okay. Then another one is try to move out at a safe place, okay. Try to move out at a safe place. Then another thing is avoid the risk zone. That means places where the risk is too high, you are not supposed to go there, okay. So those are the do's. Then coming to the don'ts, it has been written, do not panic, okay, do not get scared and try to run here and there and so on. So be calm, do not panic. Then do not stay near the chemical industries. If it is to do with a chemical disaster, then we are not supposed to be near that industry, okay. Then do not build houses in risk-prone areas. That means if it is a landslide area, you are advised not to build your house there because accidents may occur, okay. Then do not cut the forest. We are advised not to cut the forest, fire the forest, nor pollute the environment, okay. So those are the don'ts. So these are given basing on disaster, okay. So I hope you are clear with that. Now coming to the next topic. In the next topic, it is written as human-environment interaction, okay. The link, because if you go through it, you will find that there is a link, okay. There is a link between human being and nature or natural, okay. There is a connection there. We have a link. For example, in your textbook, okay, what they have given is, now in the early stages, okay, in the early stages, what happened was the human beings, they decided to go and settle down at a river area, river valley, so to say. Okay, in all the civilization, later on when you come to higher classes, you will find that in all the civilization, okay, what they do is every time or everywhere the civilization, it occurs on a river bank because they need water. Okay, if there is no water, we all know living beings cannot survive. So all the civilization, they came up from a river valley, okay. So here also, in order to tell you how the humans and nature are interlinked with one another, an example is, in the early stage, what the human beings did was, they decided to go and settle down on the river bank, okay. They decided to build their houses there. So they settled down there on the river valley, they built their houses, okay. Everything that they needed, they built it there, okay. And they settled down there. Later on, there came a need when they need to communicate with other people or they need to go to somewhere else. So what they did was, these people, they started building bridges, okay. Bridges were built, bridges were constructed so that they will be able to cross over the river, okay. So I hope you got my point. First, they settled down there in the valley, they built houses, they started with their agriculture, but they needed to move to another place also or travel to another place. So what they did was, in order to cross that river, okay, they built bridge, okay, they built bridge in order to cross that river. So here the point here is the river and the river valley, okay, the river and the river valley are part of the natural environment, okay. River and river valley are the natural environment, whereas the houses that the human beings have built or constructed, their farms, their field, these are natural or human environment. Got it? So the river and the river valleys are natural environment, whereas the house, okay, the farms, the field and all, those are human environment. So this shows that they are interlinked, okay, they are connected. So that is to do with human environment interaction, okay. Then the reason, what happened here is because of the development, okay? Because of the development in technology and so on, all these made people, okay? All these made human beings to come out from their comfort zone, okay? To come out from their comfort zone. And now what happened was, now they can do anything. There is no limitation for them, okay? Because of the development of technology. So that is also, this again resulted, okay? Because of the new technologies that have come into being, now people, that is human beings, they are able to do anything, everything that they can. There is no limitation. And this again resulted in one major effect which we call as population, okay? Population means the number of people. And if you look around, you will know that the population is growing at a very alarming rate. People say that within 2-3 years, India is going to be in the top position. Right now, we all know that China is the most populated country, okay? So population, that causes it causes lots of effect on human beings, as well as on nature also, natural environment also. Because if more population is there, that means we need more space to live in. And in order to go for more space, again we need to cut down the trees. And you all know about the importance of trees, right? So all these are interlinked, okay? So the effect or the defect is to do with population. So I hope you have understood that far, okay? We still have many more topics to go through in this chapter. We will be discussing about the desert, the hot desert and the cold desert, okay? You need to differentiate that, because when we say desert, every one of us, we assume that it's going to be very hot, isn't it? It will be very hot, full of sand and so on. But we know that it is not like that in reality, okay? So that we will be discussing in the next chapter. So we'll be discussing about the different types of communication, then the different kind of people who lives in different parts of the continent, okay? Plus regarding the desert. But that we will keep it for the next session, okay? So for now, let's do a little bit of recap. We have discussed about human settlement. So human settlement means all those facilities that human beings have created in order to make their life comfortable. So that is called human settlement. Then human settlement is again divided into two, which we call it as the temporary settlement and permanent settlement, okay? Temporary means where it is only for a short period of time. Permanent means it is for the long run, okay? It can even be for the lifetime. So those are the two types of settlement. Then in permanent settlement, again we have two types. One is called rural settlement and the other one is called urban. Rural means we are talking about the villages. Urban means we are talking about the towns and cities. So those are again the two types, okay? Then we have also discussed about man-made disaster and natural disaster. Natural disaster means those disasters which are caused by nature. Man-made disaster means those disasters that are caused by human being, okay? And then we have also gone through this, the do's and don'ts. Then we have discussed about the human and this natural interaction, that is the link between human beings and nature. So I hope you were able to understand some points there, okay? So that is all for today. Stay safe and thank you for tuning in.